I'm Dr. Rachel Griffiths, and I'm with my father and partner in aquatics.
Dr. Tom Griffiths.
Welcome to the Drowning File, where each week we share a lawsuit we've been involved in or another true story with suggestions to learn from these tragedies to save lives. What case do you have today?
Today I have another open water swimming case. And this case is very similar to the many drowning cases we have around the country where you have a private lake or a private beach club that's not necessarily open to the public. In this case, a family with young children went to this lakefront in the Northeast. It was in a heavily wooded area in the forest, and it was a small lake, and they had a small designated swimming area. The good news is they had buoy lines that separated the swimming area, the safe swimming area with a manicured beach from the rest of the large lake. And they had a deep water raft at the outermost edges of the swimming area. And this tragedy happened quite simply. There was a lifeguard on duty, and the mother was playing with her daughter in the shallow water areas and asked the lifeguard if she could take her daughter out to the raft. The raft was in more than 12 feet of water. It was like 15 to 18 feet of water. And the lifeguard made a poor decision and said, yes, as long as you accompany her out to the raft, you can do that. And the mother and the lifeguard knew that the child could not swim. So she put her on a noodle, put the young girl on a noodle, and started towing her out to the raft. And as you would expect, about halfway out, in about 10, 12 feet of water, the little girl started to panic, slipped off the noodle, and went directly down quickly. The mother started screaming and trying to reach her daughter. The lifeguards went out there, and I believe there was only one lifeguard on duty on the beach, and the other lifeguard was there in attendance but was not providing patron surveillance. Swam out there immediately and saw where the mother was, saw where the noodle was. And this is so important because it happens so often, is that when they get there, they think they're right above the victim and they begin to dive down, and lo and behold, they can't find the child. So they feverishly dove and dove again, got some extra people who were attending the lake at the time, and there weren't that many people. There were less than 25. People started diving down, and eventually they couldn't do, they had to do, the surface dives that lifeguards are trained to all in a row, where you line up arm's length away, you surface dive down, come up at the same time, back up a little bit, do it again across the swimming area. They couldn't do that because they didn't have enough competent swimmers to do surface dives down deep enough. So, as you would expect, they called 911. And here's another key part of this case, like so many other cases we've seen, is that when you're at a private lake, basically in the wilderness swimming, if you will, it's going to take emergency crews a heck of a long time to get there, to find you and to get you there on usually old dirt roads or gravel roads. And eventually they simply had to call in the dive team to recover the young girl who drowned. And that's basically the case. The case was settled, and the amount was significant, but it was not huge, because of contributory negligence. The mother was somewhat negligent because she decided to take her daughter to the deep water raft. And that was a poor decision on her part. But there was liability on the part of the private lake because the lifeguard allowed her to perform a very dangerous act with a young child of tender years who did not know how to swim. So yes, it's settled for a good significant portion of money. It wasn't huge. It wasn't millions and millions of dollars because the mother played a part in this. But some of the key points, Rachel, is and if you run a waterfront, a campfront, or you just go to one, the rafts and the platforms that they put out in deeper water attract people to them. And oftentimes we have weaker swimmers following a stronger swimmer, a brother or sister or playmate who can get out there easily, and then their friend or brother or sister struggles to make it out to the raft. If they're lucky enough, they make it to the raft, but oftentimes they either get into trouble out at the raft because they can't climb up on it, get fatigued, and simply submerge, or they fatigue on the way back, which is more often the case. We had one case where the lifeguards had a safety break and they cleared everyone out of the water. And at that point in time, the young lady went down on her way back. And again, they couldn't find her. The other problem with open water swimming is it's not a swimming pool. It's not crystal clear water with a white painted bottom. Most open water areas, unless it's Lake Tahoe in the United States or someplace like that, which their water is crystal clear. If someone goes down in the open water, you're not gonna find them right away, and oftentimes it's just not gonna be soon enough. So that's the case I have for you today, and we have many cases that are so similar to this, and there should have been, and I might add, there's so many things that this beach should have done. A good beach would have had a shallow water area that was about 3 feet, that's buoyed off and close to shore and keep all the young children in there. They should have had a note and float program where this child was noted as a non-swimmer, so you put a headband or a wristband on them and put them in a Coast Guard approved life jacket, and could have made the entire swimming area a maximum of 5 feet, as the Army Corps of Engineers in the United States did a 10-year study and found in the open water at their designated swim areas, if they kept the maximum buoyed off depth at 5 feet over a 10-year period, it reduced the number of drownings by 50%. So there's many things that they should have done, but didn't do. And so that's the case I have for you today.